Hey team, you're about to experience my interview with Duncan from Give Credit. Give Credit is a philanthropic e-commerce payments platform that incurs no cost to the merchant. Give Credit is putting fuel on the fire of a social conscience for businesses and including all of these amazing functionalities at absolutely zero cost. It also has built-in network effects for both Give Credit and the merchant. Had a fantastic conversation with Duncan. Enjoy. This is the E-commerce Edge podcast with your host, Jason Greenwood. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the pod. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome Duncan Bruce from Give Credit to the pod. Welcome, Duncan.
Thank you for having me, Jason. Grateful to be here.
Mate, it's so cool to have you along for the ride today. It's also super cool for you to have the hat on of the technology or the platform that you're representing. In fact, I think over 207 episodes later, I think you might be the only one who has worn a hat on the of the technology that they support. And I love that because we do video now. We don't just do audio. And what a great way to get the word out about your technology.
Absolutely. I wear it with pride. I'm wearing 20 hats a day, but this is my favorite one.
Love it. I live in hats too, especially here in Mexico to keep the sun out of my face. So yeah, we were talking just before we went on air about our love for dogs, and your two amazing dogs, and our amazing dog that we brought with us from New Zealand. He's our fur child. So dogs make life better, don't they?
They definitely do. They definitely do.
Yeah, I always like the saying, "We don't deserve dogs." I reckon they've got good souls.
Absolutely. I know if everyone treated each other like we treat dogs, the world would be a better place. Most people treat dogs.
Yes.
But absolutely.
I agree with that. Now, what's awesome about, before we get into your platform and what you do and how you even came to doing that, I did a little bit of background checking on you, and you're a pretty famous recording artist. Tell us, you were also a CSO and creative director in the music industry. How did you first get, you've got that star quality look about you. You've got those rugged good looks with that rugged stubble. I'm sure you were a fan favorite among the ladies out there.
Thank you, Jason. Yeah, it was an amazing journey. It's a tough industry to navigate, as I'm sure you're well aware. But it was something I was always passionate about. Music was something I've done since I was 6 years old. Was singing on countertops. And I took a different approach to the music industry. Instead of just hoping to be noticed while playing in a local bar, I did a deep dive into the industry and was like, what is it that all of us artists want these major record labels for? What is it that they provide to us that we can't do ourselves independently? And it typically is obviously marketing and resources and relationships and things of that nature. And so I took a different approach where I created my own business plan and went out to raise funds myself so that I could have creative control over my career instead of having to go with a major label who also take significant amounts of artists' career revenue. And I had a amazing opportunity to meet with, funny enough, now my co-founder of Give Credit, but he gave me a shot at the music business and supported me in the beginning, and we slowly made headway. It took a lot of time and building relationships, and I was grateful and enough to have had some pretty successful accolades over time. 3 songs on Billboard, which was obviously, from an artist's perspective, the dream come true. One of the most notable is probably my top 10 song featuring Rick Ross called Find You Now. That was really exciting collaboration, and it was a blessing to be able to work with Rick, who's a wonderful guy, by the way. A quote I've always, that's stuck with me that he said is, he measures success by how many people you bless. And I loved that. I loved that saying. And from there, I was able to do all that independently. And then we ended up doing a joint venture with a Universal Music Group and furthering my career. And I took it to the point where I had reached enough accolades. And I didn't give up on the music industry, but I wanted to make more change. For me, music was a way to express myself and inspire others and to follow their dreams. But I really wanted to have my finger on the pulse more of philanthropy and really diving in. And through one of my experiences in the music industry as an independent artist, I had done a song called Give Me a Sign where I was raising awareness for homelessness, and I went to the New York Rescue Mission That's where I was living at the time, to collaborate with them to raise awareness for it, because it was pretty crazy. There'd be homeless individuals within a mile of the New York Rescue Mission with food and shelter and all these resources to help them, and they didn't even know it existed. And it was just right around the corner. So I went out and was raising awareness for them, and I made the song like a documentary to go out and get experiences from people. And it ended up being one of the best days of my life. We ended up handing out burgers to tons of people and giving them cards to direct them to the New York Rescue Mission. And that day I realized there's nothing more fulfilling than helping people. And I wanted to live a life of service to others. And so that was where the seed was planted. And then after the music business, which I still dabble in the music space, but my focus is really Give Credit now. But after that, I got into some fundraising and started raising money for startups and helping them as well, and had some success there. But during that journey, I realized I really wanted to be an entrepreneur and have a business of my own. And so I started to think of some concepts, and I wanted to use my creativity from the music business. And I've always prided myself on being resourceful. So I was trying to find a business or a model that I could be passionate about. And during that exploration, my mentor, Rob, again, had brought up, hey, Dunk, maybe we do a credit card processing company. Rob's an investor and has a bunch of companies, and he would sign up his own companies, and that's how he got involved in it. And I was like, that's an interesting business model. But as I started to dig a little deeper, I found that the payment space was rather cutthroat and very competitive. It wasn't too far from car sales. And for me, I can only sell something if I truly believe in it. Or I can't. And so I wasn't too enthused by the payment processing space, so I set it aside for a minute. But it did stick with me, the being able to create residual on every business you signed up. I thought that was cool, but the space just wasn't that palatable. Just pitching, hey, I'll beat your rate, or things of that nature. So I sat with it for a while, and then I had that aha moment. I was like, wait, what if we donate a big chunk of our revenue to share with nonprofits and enabling businesses to be able to donate for free? And I was ecstatic. I was like, this is something I could get behind. This is something I could be passionate about. But so I assumed there was tons of people doing it. So through my research, I found that there was literally no one I could find. Through the last few years, we found a few other small ma and pas with a similar model, but really there was no major player in the space, and I was mind blown and very excited to take this to the market. So I went back to Rob and said, you know what, I would love to do a credit card processing company, but here's the brand. And in that 2-week period that I hadn't spoke to him, I created Give Credit, Credit for a Cause, Processing for a Purpose, created the whole brand and got it all prepared for him. And he was even more excited than he was for originally just doing payment processing together. He goes, this is way better of a model and something that's way more exciting. That was where it all began, and here we are nearly 3 years later, and super excited about our trajectory, and that's the mile high.
Wow, what an amazing story and journey and transformation of you as a human. First, to a degree, like the change had to happen inside you. You had to see it, feel it, taste it in your New York experience. And now with New York being a sanctuary city, I think it's probably got even more problems than it did that first time around when you went to see them. There's a much larger, I think, homeless population now than there even was back then. But certainly seeing it when I've seen it in LA, I've seen it to a lesser degree in Auckland, and I've certainly seen it to a small degree in Mexico as well. Although having said that, there's much more sort of familial and religious safety nets in Mexico, I think, than there is in a lot of other Western countries. But it feels like one of the other key stepping stones was not only did you have to see the problem and feel the problem viscerally before you could even consider doing something, but then when you got into the fundraising space as the managing partner of Arch 8 Consulting, which you were helping brands to do fundraising, and you were effectively a consulting firm for fundraisers, then you went, hang on a second, this feels really tough. Like, I know fundraising is very cap in hand, and really it's a heavy lift in many instances, unless you're getting some sort of endowment or unless you're getting large institutional organizations to donate on a regular basis. Like, getting a fundraising organization up and running is just such a heavy lift that it feels like it was always a bit of a natural progression to get to a place where you went, okay, what can become an underlying engine for this that doesn't require a completely custom approach for every single organization that I work with. That I have to put together a unique marketing plan. I have to create a unique go-to-market plan. I have to create a unique differentiator, all these things. It feels like this was a natural evolution of that process you went through as a human. And
Absolutely, definitely. While I was in the music, I always wanted to change the world and bring everyone together, and so it's right on my hand. It's something I've been so passionate about my whole life, and this is another way to effectively make a change in the world. And this has been something that I've been looking forward to for quite some time, to be able to create something that can have a lasting impact.
wow. And you've been doing this for nearly 4 years now. And when you first started out, and I think your friend was right, I think going into the payment space was a good idea, but also immensely challenged in the sense that there's so many entrenched players, from Stripe to Adyen to you name it, Google Pay, Apple Pay. There's the payment providers themselves and the rails that they engineer and put into place. There's crypto, and there's so many other sets of payments rails internationally that you kind of, if you'd have gone in without this differentiating point, it feels like you'd have been going into an extremely red ocean space. Whereas because of the way that you did it, you converted a red ocean space to a blue ocean space where there really wasn't anybody else owning this thing. And so I feel like that was the game changing decision.
Definitely. And one other aspect to touch on is, when I was starting the business, I always try to put myself in a business owner's perspective. And as a newly founded company, we're nearly 3 years in now. But when I was first starting, I was like, if I was a larger company, or even any company, would I switch my payments, my livelihood, to a newly founded company? And I thought, can't say that I would feel fully comfortable. So what I did to address that concern was I just went ahead and partnered with about 20 of the leading payment providers in the space, some of which are the number one acquirers in the world. And so it's really interesting, because now if a business goes directly to our partner without us, they're going to end up getting the same deal that they would get if they went through us, but they also get the no-cost donations when they go through us. And people always assume, having a middleman, that it would be more fees, but it's not the case. If it wasn't us getting a revenue share from them, it would be someone over there. And that makes it interesting. It makes us uniquely positioned to be able to offer each business the best solution, because we have partners who specialize in high risk and low risk and certain industries and things of that nature. It's great, and it helps us also to be very competitive with our rates. We can go to our partners and leverage the relationships to get great deals for these businesses.
And I
Yeah, and it's
And I guess it's a pretty well understood model, in the sense that Shop Pay is famously underpinned by Stripe, and there's other white labeled services that sit on top of other payment processors' rails, that
exactly.
the value add is the additional layer of services and functionality that are sitting on top of those underlying transactional rails. And it feels like you've tapped into that you said, look, why would we go out and reinvent the wheel? Why would we go out and build payment rails from the ground up, which is a very expensive and extremely complex exercise? PCI compliance is a nightmare. Tokenization is a nightmare. There's a lot to this whole payments thing. And so it feels like you said, okay, let's focus on what our unique point of difference is, as opposed to worrying about the stuff where there is zero difference. Let's let the platforms and the processors do what they do best, which is facilitate the actual transaction. And we're going to add a value add layer on top of that ultimately doesn't cost the merchant any additional percentage points to deliver, right?
Exactly. Yeah, our model, we guarantee that it's no cost, is whatever they're paying, we guarantee to match it. Actually, 95% of the time we reduce it, so lots of the time we save the money as well. But say someone's using Stripe and it's 2.9%, we guarantee to give them that same rate. Most of the time we'd probably get them in at like 2.7 or something, save them a little bit of money. So there's no additional cost, and then we take 25% of the revenue we earn from processing that business's payments and donate it to the charity of their choice at no cost. And we also serve nonprofits directly, where we can also handle the payments for like donations and things for nonprofits. And in that sense, the donations go right back to that 501c3. So we help nonprofits to maximize their donations in that aspect. And one other really interesting thing that we've rolled out recently that I'm really excited about is our fundraiser program. As we were developing our model, I realized, wow, this could be a great way for nonprofits to utilize us as a tool for fundraising. And so what we do now for the fundraiser, we do their payments, but we also provide a fundraiser program that we make a co-branded marketing material for the nonprofit that basically showcases their missions and values. And of course, we have it approved by them first to make sure it aligns with their goals. And then throughout that presentation, you see a way that they're able to provide businesses with a way to donate to them for free. So by partnering with Give Credit and such nonprofit, your business can allocate 25% of the donations to that nonprofit that's reaching out to that business, and as well as get all the other benefits of being socially conscious and brand recognition. But so it's really great. Imagine calling up, because fundraising is really tough. So imagine being able to call up either businesses that already support you or potential businesses you think would be a fit and say, hey, would you guys, to help support our organization, we have an interesting partnership where you'd be able to donate to us for free, essentially. And we're starting to get some great traction there. We're really looking forward to it because it's a great way. Lots of people I found when I was doing the fundraising was, hey, would you want to support this cause? I'd love to, I just don't have the means right now. And people genuinely probably really do want to help it. So we created those means so that they're able to be a part of that change. And something else we wanted to do was historically only the wealthy give back. So we wanted to rewrite that narrative so people from all walks of life could be engaged in giving. So it's awesome, and it's a great way to have the business engage their customers in it, letting them know that every time they swipe, a portion of that is going to a great cause. And we're really excited about the future. We're developing some scalable technologies right now, one of which is going to be for an e-commerce solution that comes up at the end of your transaction, where it'll pop up, and that choice of no-cost donation will literally be applied to the customer at the end. So the way that will go is the business will choose 3 charities it loves, and then it passes that choice along to its customer. So the customer can touch it and really be a part of it, and then it'll be an interactive interface that sort of shows, say you chose Purple Heart Foundation, and then it'll show what they're doing, their initiatives, and it really just engages the customer. It'll make it a fun experience at the end of their transaction. And so we're just further developing these technologies to make the experience even better. And these are all free things that we're going to provide to our businesses that we work with.
And let's double click on that previous thing that you were talking about that you're just in the process of rolling out, where it helped me clarify whether I'm actually understanding this properly or not, because maybe I'm getting it wrong. But it feels like, so if we've got a fundraising organization, a 501c, effectively charitable organization, and they want to fundraise, but they're getting hit with a lot of no's, right? They're getting, oh, I'm too busy, or I don't have the money, or hey, we're strapped for cash, or hey, we've already donated, or whatever the response might be to get them off the phone or get them out of their doorway if they're doing door knocking. Then what they can do is they effectively can offer a white labeled version of your service to that. If it's a business that they're dealing with and it's a business that's taking transactions, then in a white labeled sort of way, you can become the payment gateway provider to that business, with the fundraiser being nominated as the fundraising partner, to where all that share of funds goes to exclusively to them. So they're going to continue processing transactions as they always have. It's just that the donation share goes back to that party that originally approached them about donating.
Exactly. And that we make a co-branded marketing material so it shows our partnership and working together. And so our name is involved. So it's not completely white label in the sense where it's just the nonprofit.
Sure.
It's going to be a co-branded version of it, but absolutely, yeah, you nailed it. That's exactly right. And so it's an exciting way, knowing how fundraising is tough. Imagine having that in your back pocket when someone says, I'd love to help, I truly would, I just don't have the means. Then you could say, hey, we actually have a great partnership with Give Credit that provides you with those means to support us for free. And so it's a great tool for them, and we're seeing some exciting stuff happening in that space, and we're really looking forward to building it out even further to continue to evolve and innovate to help these nonprofits with their efforts.
I love that in 2 ways. I love it all the way around, but I love it in 2 ways. One is it taps into the concept of a network effect for a start off. And for 2, it mobilizes an absolute army of effectively de facto salespeople on your behalf that are going to have to be out there in market anyway. So these fundraising organizations, they've got call centers, they've got door knockers, they've got leaflets, they've got all the things that they're doing in their go-to-market efforts already. And then this is another string to their bow as an offering that allows people to donate to that charity in a much more low lift way. There's a little bit of lift there in terms of changing gateway providers. I'm not going to say there's zero effort, because there is effort, but it's a one-time effort, and then it's a permanent benefit to both organizations. And then it also brings a social consciousness halo effect to the merchant as well. They can say, hey, look, we've partnered with Give Credit, and we've partnered with the city mission or whoever it might be that they've partnered with. And they can say, look, these are our exclusive charity partners. Yep. We work with Give Credit to facilitate the transactions, but here's our charity partner, the city mission, and all of the proceeds from these transactions, the donation share, goes to your local city mission down the road or whatever it might be. And so I feel like this ticks a whole lot of boxes in one hit, which is, hey, the charities need another string to their bow to keep the dialogue going with potential donation providers, especially businesses, because usually businesses have a greater capacity because of the transactional nature of their business. They have an opportunity to create more impact than the family down the street that donates $100 a year, which we still love and we appreciate that, of course. But in comparison, it's easier for a business through the transactional nature of their business to do almost like a micro payment, a micro donation over a year. That is going to cumulatively tend to have a much bigger impact than, say, one family's donation for a year.
Exactly. And what's great is that they're reoccurring. So when you're fundraising, it's not always a reoccurring donation, but once you sign them up, you're going to know that it's coming in for the life of the deal, or for as long as they continue to choose that charity to be the one that they support. And where it came from is, I really do despise sales. Like, I try to just, this is what I can do to help you, and if you want to utilize the solution, we'd love to help. But I don't ever try to be pushy. And in the beginning, we had brought on a few people in the sales space, I like to call them more advisors, but that were being a little too salesy, and I just said, hey, it might not be a fit. I love the effort, but we really don't like to be pushy. We're in a charitable space, and it was really important for me not to be pushy. And then I thought to myself, oh, it would be so awesome if volunteers could be the ones going out there. And then this ended up evolving into fundraising directly with the fundraisers at the nonprofits. And for me, it's so much more exciting. And there's a couple different ways about the program. So they can sign up and do the outreach themselves. So some organizations might want to micromanage all their donors and do it within their own group. And then once they have interest, introduce us to help them get them all signed up. Option 2, for some charities that don't have the bandwidth to reach out to 20,000 potential business owning donors that they know, they can also provide us with the ones they want us to reach out to, and we'd reach out to on their behalf. And then the option 3, which is the one I actually lobby for, is the collaborative approach, where we do it together. And we go out and reach out to them together and make sure that they're speaking about all their initiatives, and we can help clarify exactly how we can facilitate this program for them to donate for free. And it works great, and it's extremely exciting. We're one of our partnerships, we're working with the Purple Heart Foundation on the fundraiser program as well right now, and we're super excited to help them reach out to veteran-owned businesses and things of that nature to help increase their fundraising. It's incredible what they've been doing. They've been around since I think 1957. So to be affiliated with a legacy foundation such as Purple Heart has been so grateful. And so organizations like that, we're constantly trying to help and evolve to make that experience great for them.
And how have you guys approached the complexity of system integrations? So in the e-com world in particular, and even in the point of sale world, et cetera, integrations are the lifeblood of payment processors and payment platforms, and the likes of Stripe and Adyen and all the majors, the Braintrees, et cetera, the way that they have been able to penetrate the market is by building out these out-of-the-box, drop-in, single-click integrations with all the major e-com and point-of-sale platforms. So your Shopify's, your BigCommerce's, et cetera, Magento, and then your point-of-sale, Retail Express, et cetera, et cetera. And so how have you guys started to think about the barrier to entry to adopting your technology versus the lift and effort required to become integrated and authorized with all these different e-commerce and point of sale platforms?
Yes. Right now, luckily, through all of our relationships, all those integrated technologies are already handled on the back end with them. So it makes it way more seamless because that is quite an undertaking. Integrations, it's super important. And so through companies like Zapier, we can zap integrations through numerous of our partners. And so if someone's using Bloomerang for their donor management system, and they switch to us and say our partner, the Giving Block, who's one of the fastest growing crypto donation platforms, they can set up a Zap to integrate the two, collect all that donor data, and still use Bloomerang and things of that nature. We have all sorts of hundreds, actually 5,000 integrations throughout our partners, and it's pretty seamless, and there's really not much that we don't have capabilities and functionalities to handle for these businesses, which is great. So being able to lean on their technologies is a big help for us.
And so let's say I'm a Shopify merchant today. I use Shopify. I use ShopPay. Maybe I have ShopPay. Maybe I've got PayPal, and maybe I've got Klarna, and I've got those three payment methods are the payment methods I've got available. Or maybe I've also got Stripe, which is basically ShopPay. And let's say I wanted to adopt you into my business. What would that look like for me as a Shopify business owner to get you onboarded into the business and into my payment flow?
Yeah, absolutely. Shopify is actually rather simple. They allow third-party processors, so there's a really simple integration through them, and it's pretty seamless. So we could, once we fill out an application and get you approved, we can switch you over within 5-10 minutes on the Shopify store. So it's pretty simple and seamless, and we have great technical support teams with our partners that help walk our customers through it to make it easy and a no-brainer for them.
And how would that work in the Shopify world where if you're using any other payment gateway other than ShopPay, you pay effectively a surcharge premium to Shopify for using a third-party payment gateway? Does Shopify treat you as a third-party payment gateway to where you then have to pay that surcharge to Shopify for using your gateway instead of ShopPay? Or do you work side by side with ShopPay?
So we would be considered a third-party payment processor, but then we would lower their rates enough where it would outweigh that surcharge.
Right. So it would be cost neutral to the merchant in that scenario.
Yep,
Wow.
but we still can probably save them some money too. So we lower it enough where it saves the money and covers the cost of that.
Wow. And do you often see that merchants will usually retain some of the other alternative payment methods like the PayPals, like the BNPL services, that they'll retain some of their other payment options at checkout alongside your service? Or do you see them generally kind of wholesale replace all their payment methods with just your service?
It's case by case, but some people like who use Klarna, they're going to want to continue using that buy now, pay later. So that's completely understandable in those regards. But yeah, it's really case by case. Some switch all of them, but I'd say probably more like 70% do keep like Klarna if they're using Klarna, because that's great for those Shopify stores.
Course, makes complete sense. And what do you see as, because you've been doing this for, I don't expect you to get into exact numbers. How have you seen uptake ramp over time as people become more aware of your service, the fact that it's cost neutral? I guess the first question is, do you operate outside of the United States? Are you only inside the United States for today? Or are you global? That's the first question. And then two, how have you seen uptake ramp with your partnerships with some of these large philanthropic organizations that you partner with that already have effectively a large go-to-market motion for their fundraising? How have you seen that uptake ramp as you have started to work more closely with these large organizations?
Absolutely. So to address your first question, we are global. We're actually entering Greece right now. We're about to get into the UK, but we have a few partners that are the number one global acquirers. So we're able to touch down almost everywhere in the world for the most part. Sometimes it's just e-commerce in those regions.
In those markets, yeah.
Yep. And so that is definitely something we can do globally. We're excited about Greece right now. We're just setting up our first business out there, which will be great. We really want to help their country, and we're pushing to help with their education system and things of that nature. Yes, we're definitely global. And then for your other question, have I seen an uptick in... So we've launched the fundraiser program rather recently, about 3 months ago, but we're starting to see some incredible traction And we also go within our own network too to help these nonprofits. Like we bumped into a veteran operated online retailer and we brought up our relationship with the Purple Heart and they might want to help fund them. And so it's great ways to help increase their fundraising efforts, but it's been going really great. Like even small charities, when we reach out to them, they instantly get it. They're like, wait, my husband owns a grocery store. My wife has a pet store. I'm going to switch them over. And they start to see it's a great creative way to raise funds. So we're super excited about that. And we're furthering our partnerships with these major acquirers that are helping to support this growth. And so we're really excited about the trajectory. And I can't wait to get these scalable technologies out there to further make it a more engaging experience.
Oh, and how do you think about what's next for you guys? How do you, like when you think about features, functionality, road mapping of what you guys want to do and maybe as your go-to-market evolves over time, what you offer to the people who are donating, what you offer to the charities themselves, what does the next 12, 18 months look like for you guys? Is it more the same, or are you thinking, hey, we want to try to continue to be creative about how we add functionality to the platform that basically broadens the market that we can go to through our platform?
Definitely the scalable technology is going to take quite a bit of time to build all that out with a back-end database to collect all the data. So that's definitely a priority for us right now. And really our goal is just to when I started it, we didn't try to make anything proprietary right away because our theory is it's going to be tough to capture the entire payments market, right? We want to create a new standard where eventually, once we capture enough of the market, all these other big payment processors are going to also have to start donating a big chunk of their money. And for us, that would be a win. If these major corporations start doing it too, it would be billions and billions of dollars of free donations. So that's our goal, is to push others to follow suit. And we think collaboration is the key to unity and a better world. So that is something that's super important to us and that we're pushing for. And yeah, hope that answers your question.
Yeah. And do you see that you are, to a degree, you're a competitor with some of these other payment gateways, at least for mind share and market share, if nothing else? And is it a concern to you at all that somebody like a Klarna or somebody like a Stripe or somebody like a Braintree comes to market with their own version of what you do natively within their gateway platform so that people don't have to do any changes at all to what they're doing today? Is that a concern of yours? Is it your thinking, hey, there's a big enough pie for all of us that, look, even if they were to do that, look, Stripe doesn't power every payment gateway on the planet. Braintree doesn't power every payment gateway on the planet, that the pie's big enough that even if some of these big boys and girls jump into the space and take a little bit of our market share, there's enough room for all of us to do good things?
Absolutely. And we'll know that we were a part of starting a movement that really made some amazing change out there. So for us, that's the ultimate goal. And so absolutely. And we're partnering with half of these big companies too. And we've already had a few that are watching what we do and say, we would consider acquiring you as you guys continue to scale. Who knows, we might be hand in hand with some of these larger entities to further build this out. But yeah, no, we know it's definitely a possibility that someone will, especially as we're gaining more and more traction. But to us, it's a win no matter what. And we're ready to embrace whatever direction it comes.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And how do you like people to get a hold of you if they want to learn more, they want to find out more about Give Credit? I'll put the links in the show notes, but it's just givecredit.co is your domain name. So that's your website. Do you like people to reach out to you on LinkedIn, or just go to givecredit.co to learn more?
Sure. Yeah, follow me on my LinkedIn or reach out on givecredit.co, or you can email us at info@givecredit.co, or you can email me personally at duncan@givecredit.co, or can call us at 1-800-GIVE-093. And yeah, we're always looking to collaborate, not with just merchants and nonprofits, but other players in this space. We want to all work together to make a change out there, and we embrace that. So please reach out. We'd love to hear from you. And this has been an absolute pleasure, Jason.
I just thought of something, and you guys may have already thought of this, but I think partnering also with SaaS platforms that provide payment interfaces inside their platform, the likes of Zero, which, for example, processes payments inside their platform. I can think of quite a few transactional SaaS B2B SaaS platforms that provide payments infrastructure inside their platforms, and it feels like that could be a natural next best fit for you guys too.
Absolutely. We're funny you mentioned that we're actually exploring that right now with a few different SaaS companies. You're right on pace.
Absolutely love it. Duncan, it has been a fabulous chance to talk to you today about your amazing platform and the social conscience that you built the business on the back of, and your amazing story to get to where you are. Now we're reaching the end of our time together, but it's now I get to flip the script. I get to hand the microphone over to you. I get to let you ask me one question, any question you like, can be personal or professional. So, Duncan Bruce from Give Credit, what is your question for me today?
Okay. My question for you is, what is your favorite Mexican cuisine?
Wow, that is such a hard one. You came in hot today. You came in hot today. Look, I love, there's very little Mexican cuisine that I do not like. I like almost all of it. Some of it is a little, even though I love spicy food, some of it is just absolutely incinerator hot. And that it's probably, I'm probably a little bit old for my stomach to be able to handle the super hot stuff. But my favorite so far, having lived here since February, is still an amazing dirt cheap street taco. Like it just, and I've eaten a ton of street food here of all types, from tortas to gorditas to chilaquiles to, I've eaten a lot of street food since I've been here. And I know this sounds so generic, but I just love just a little corner stand that sells like a taco barbacoa. It's just hard to go past that. Like 20 pesos, like $2. It's just so hard to go past. And they've all got their own sort of recipes. They've got their own little fixings. Sometimes it'll be just onion. Sometimes it'll be onion and cilantro and sometimes it'll be a little bit of tomato. They'll always have some fresh lime sliced up there for you to chuck it on there. Yeah, I think street tacos are still my favorite to this day.
That is a great choice. I agree. When I was just in Tulum recently, we got a few, in addition to the street corn, which is my other, I love
Yes,
that.
yes, yes, absolutely.
Cheese.
With the
Unbelievable.
mayonnaise and the cheese grated over the top of it, and a little bit of, usually they've got a little bit of grated chili on top. It's pretty amazing.
It's delicious. Great answer. Great answer.
Well,
Yeah, tacos are the way to go.
Duncan, I have really enjoyed our time together, and I can't wait to catch up with you again soon. Are you a B2B or D2C e-commerce merchant? Then head over to greenwoodconsulting.net to learn how we can help you scale your business.